guys, what's up? It's Ashlyn here. Alright, before I get copyright, we are jumping back into Follow Me Back by A.V. Geiger. Like I told you guys. Oh, wait, that video might not be up yet. Alright, so like I said, we are going to be jumping back into A.V. Geiger's Follow Me Back. We are on chapter 4. So if you want to grab your book, grab a drink. Ooh, I forgot a drink. It's okay. I've already had a White Claw tonight. I don't need any more to drink. No, I want to save that for the trip tomorrow. By the way, if you guys don't already know, in 6 minutes, it's going to be this girl's birthday. What? Okay, and if you guys also haven't noticed, these are my lovely, beautiful, totally amazing nails. There's a little bit of a better close-up for you. They are like holographic-y. They're called duochrome. I'm not really sure what they're called. They're super cute though. I love them. I'm so happy I got my nails done. I'm getting my hair done tomorrow. Yes. I am getting my hair done at 9:30 a.m. I might hop on here. I might not. I'm not 100% sure. I might do like with my phone a video and post it after like I have my hair and nails ready and I'm on the road to where I am headed. Cannot wait. So excited. This is the first year I get to be out of the state that I live in to go to another state and celebrate my birthday. I have the whole weekend off, so it's going to be a whole weekend endeavor. I'm so stoked. I may or may not post some of the things. I'm not 100% sure just yet. But anyways, let's get into chapter 4 if you guys are ready. If not, sorry. I worked all day. And yesterday too. But if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and get into this. If you're not ready yet, go ahead and hit the pause button. While you hit that pause button, why don't you go ahead and switch over and also hit that subscribe button? That would totally help the channel completely. And when you're ready, just go ahead and hit the play button and we'll get started. So give me a second. So here's a little side note. Ariana Grande, Jennifer Hudson, and the Queen of Christmas herself, Miss Mariah Carey, did a commercial together and they're singing. How cool is that, you guys? I just skipped it. No. Okay. And yes, I may or may not be actually watching Christmas TikToks to watch November Part 4. Because Christmas is not that far away, you guys. Right. I'm trying to get this all, like, situated and figured out, but it's not working very well. No tatas out. Alright. One more second, and then we will get started with the video. With the reading. Remember, chapter 4 and A.V. Geiger's Follow Me Back if you are following along. Like, legitimately the first.
And hey, after everything, I really hope you have a really great day and have a really great trip.
I think it's gonna be good.
Oh yes, please be careful. Oh God, I don't think you can understand that, but
I could.
Please be careful.
Yeah, I know. It snows every year on my birthday, so I'm used to it.
Wait, is it snowing?
Not yet, but there's a lot of snow supposed to be coming.
I don't know whether to be concerned or whether to be like happy about it, because I like the snow, but my tires do not like the snow. So
right. Well,
plus your the metal stairs.
Yeah.
Like, I'll eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we wanted to call and wish you happy birthday, so we don't want to keep you up or anything, but yeah.
Alright, I appreciate it. You guys are amazing.
Yeah. I'll be home relatively soon, whenever they decide they want to show up, so
Okay.
All
If
right.
they show up. We'll
Yeah.
see.
But I'll keep it reasonable because of the whole traffic and everything.
All
Like we
right.
talked about.
You guys be careful. You have fun.
We're just sitting chilling. She's about to do my nails.
Ooh.
Yes. And they're just gonna turn out black, but I hope you enjoy them.
All right. I'll talk to you guys later.
Yeah. All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. That's awesome. Birthday wishes coming in. Okay, sorry. I didn't even realize I was recording, but yeah, I got some pretty great friends. Okay. Now, if you guys are ready, we can go ahead and start. If my phone goes off, I'll just, ignore it. Alright. The sound of Eric's voice faded in Tessa's ears as the song came to an end. With a sigh, she lifted her finger to hit replay. She developed a habit lately of listening to the same song 3 or 4 times in a row, so different from the way she used to consume music in the past. Before this summer, her playlist always contained hundreds of songs by different artists, all set to random shuffle. It was only since returning home from New Orleans that she'd fallen into this new pattern, listening and re-listening over and over. It put her in a kind of trance. She could let her mind drift free from any thoughts of her own life and picture Eric Thorne singing the familiar words for her ears alone. Now she lay with her head at the foot of the bed, gazing up at her concert poster. She imagined herself pressed against the railing at the edge of a stage, watching the whole show live. Someday, she vowed, someday, somehow, she would find a way to attend an Eric Thorne concert for real. Tessa closed her eyes and hummed along with his clear, smooth tenor voice. She remained completely still except for the gentle rhythmic of her heels against the mattress. Her tank top hitched up to expose her bare midriff, and she didn't bother to fix it. She didn't hear the scrape of the bedroom door behind her or the soft footsteps creeping toward the bed. She had no inkling of any other presence in the room until a shadow fell over her shoulder and a hand from out of nowhere grasped her on the knee. Tessa's eyes flew open, her head snapped up so hard that she bit her tongue. Her daydream of Eric vanished, replaced by the sound of her own pulse pounding in her ears. She yanked out her headphones with a gasp. Scott, her boyfriend since sophomore year of high school, loomed above her. "Hey, hot stuff, what you doing?" Tessa stared at him blankly. His hand rested heavily on her leg, and his eyes were glued to the exposed portion of her stomach. Tessa jerked her disheveled tank top back in place. "Scott," she told herself, forcing a deep breath. "Just Scott." It didn't help that he changed his appearance lately, no longer the baby-faced teenager that she'd first grown to know and love. He cut off his mop of curly brown hair, opting instead for a close-cropped buzz cut, and he kept his jawline shadowed with a fringe of dark stubble. Tessa knew he was going for a more mature look in honor of high school graduation, but she wasn't sure she liked the change. His face looked more masculine, but also more unfamiliar. She couldn't help but find the stranger who stood before her vaguely sinister. Scott smirked, completely oblivious to her discomfort. His eyes wandered down the length of her legs. "Busy, huh? Don't tell me I missed visiting hours again." "You scared me." Tessa tucked her feet beneath her. She clenched a fist and pressed it to her chest. "Do you have any idea what that does to me?" "Sorry, I knocked. I wasn't sure you were in here." She frowned at him. "Not in here? Was that supposed to be a joke? And how many times did she have to tell him not to sneak up on her? Every time he did it, she had nightmares for days. "Just listening to music," she said, with her hands still trembling. She flicked the music app closed. She didn't want him to see whose song she'd been playing. He nodded, his gaze now moving restlessly around the cramped room. He sounded distracted as he spoke. "Honestly, Tess, I don't know how you stay cooped up in here all day. I would lose my friggin' mind. Tessa's mouth fell open. Had he really said that to her? Was he even trying to understand what she was going through? No wonder she spent all of her time fantasizing about a celebrity. Eric Thorne didn't even know she existed, and yet he showed more consideration for her feelings than the guy who supposedly loved her. Wow, Scott, she wanted to say. And the award for world's most insensitive boyfriend goes to. But she swallowed the words. She shouldn't snap at Scott. At least he still came to see her. She couldn't afford to alienate him. One of 3 people in the universe that she trusted inside her bedroom door. Aside from her mother and her therapist, Scott was the only person Tessa had spoken to since June. She knew it couldn't be much fun for him either, having a girlfriend with severe agoraphobia. His life kept moving forward the whole time she remained locked up in her room. He was about to enter his freshman year of college with a whole new set of friends that Tessa would probably never meet. She knew some of them would be female, some of them would be cute. He could easily leave her behind for greener pastures, but so far he'd remained by her side throughout the whole ordeal. She needed to remember that. He grinned at her and kicked off his shoes. Tessa forced herself to smile in return as he came to sit beside her on the bed. She set her phone back on the nightstand face down, any new notifications for @TessaHeartsEric safely out of her boyfriend's line of sight. Then she rested her head on his shoulder and wrapped an arm around his waist. Scott gave her shoulders a friendly squeeze. Seriously, Tess? It's got to be 100 degrees in here. Let me crack a window or something. No! Don't! Don't open anything. I like it this way. He turned toward the double window on the wall beside her bookcase. Tessa used to keep it flung wide open all summer long to let in the cool cross breeze. Even in the winter time, she rarely closed the blinds. The window overlooked a sprawl of undeveloped scrub land, with a few massive sycamore trees scattered along the dusty gravel lane. The next house down the road looked like a mere speck from her window. It would probably have taken a telescope to catch sight of any neighbors. Her boyfriend pursed his lips at the ugly horizontal slats. Shut tight to block out the late summer sunshine. They both knew that Tessa hadn't opened the window in weeks. Scott ran a hand across his forehead to wipe away the beading sweat, but he let the subject drop. Whatever, babe. So what are you up to today? Anything exciting? Not really. Tessa let go of his wrist, and drew in her legs, hugging her knees. Eat, sleep, therapy exercises, maybe listen to some music. That's it? All day? I might do some writing later. His eyebrows lifted a fraction of an inch. Really? What are you writing? Tessa scrunched her nose, mentally smacking herself on the forehead. She hadn't confided in him about her account on the story-sharing website. She couldn't tell her boyfriend how she spent her days dreaming up fanfics about Eric Thorne. Nothing. I just meant that I write in my thought journal. You know, therapy stuff. Can I read it? She shook her head sharply, and Scott pulled away. He got up off the bed and jammed his feet back into his well-worn canvas sneakers. Was he leaving? Already? I'm sorry, Scott. It's like asking to read my diary. I only show it to my therapist. Is it even helping, Tessa? All this therapy? Of course it is. Dr. Reagan is really happy with my progress. Tessa scrambled onto her knees and crawled after him toward the edge of the bed. She cast about for something she could say to undo the damage, any kind of encouraging detail from her therapy session, even if it meant she had to stretch the truth with Ted. She thinks I might be ready to leave the house soon. Really? That's awesome. Scott sat back down beside her, and Tessa touched his arm to anchor him in place. I know. I'm excited. She smiled at him softly. I can't wait till I can go visit you at your dorm. Then we can be alone. We won't have to worry about my mom walking in on us all the time. Scott inched a little closer, matching her smile with a playful look of his own. Your mom's not here right now. She'll be home any sec. Now that was a bad-faced lie. Her mother wasn't due back from work for hours. Why did she just do that? Why did she feel this flicker of anxiety whenever Scott even suggested the possibility of physical contact? Scott must have known she was lying, but he didn't press the issue. Instead, he turned his face away and slipped his phone out of his pocket. I gotta get going soon anyway, he muttered, distracted by a text message. He's cheating on her, I'm telling you guys. What? Why? You just got here. Scott, please, just give me a little more time. Tessa's voice trailed off. He didn't seem to be listening in any case. His full attention was directed at his phone. It pinged with another incoming text, and the corners of his mouth quivered as he read it. Give me a sec, babe, he said without looking up. Tessa gazed longingly at her own phone out of the corner of her eye. If he could check his messages, why shouldn't she? Was she missing anything important? Probably another follow spree, knowing her luck. She didn't dare look, not in front of Scott. Her time with him was way more important than Twitter anyway. This was real life. Her boyfriend. There had to be some way to salvage this pathetic excuse for a visit. Scott, don't go yet, she said. What time is it? Did you eat breakfast yet? We have some leftover sausages in the fridge if you want. Nah, I'm meeting people for brunch. He stuffed his phone back in his pocket and looked over at her hesitantly. Listen, Tessa. I actually came here today to ask you something. Are you serious about leaving the house soon? Yeah, really, really soon. Perfect. He nodded enthusiastically, and Tessa felt a tightness in her throat. What was he about to ask? Maybe she shouldn't have sounded quite so optimistic. Because there's this thing I'm going to in a couple weeks. It's a freshman rush event for Kappa Sigma. We're supposed to bring a date, so I was kind of hoping maybe... She cut him off with a sharp intake of breath. Scott, what are you talking about? I told you, I decided to rush a fraternity. You want me to go? Well, I told all those guys that I have a girlfriend. I don't want them to think I just made you up or something. His eyes left her face and drifted back down to her queenie tank top. Anyway, I want to impress them. I was kind of hoping I could show you off. Tessa stared back at him, speechless. Come on, Tessa, I really need this. And you just said you're basically ready. I said soon, not 2 weeks from now. So by soon, you meant more like 2 months? 2 years? His face darkened and Tessa bent her arms protectively across her chest. She knew what she was in for next. Scott's epic tantrums could put most toddlers to shame. He'd be red as an overripe tomato soon. Scott, it's not like I'm doing this on purpose, she said, still hoping to nip it in the bud. I have a disorder. You understand that, right? I know, and I've been extremely patient about the whole thing. You can't tell me I haven't been patient, Tessa. He raised his eyebrows meaningfully. They both knew he was talking about more than leaving the house. There'd been nothing between them all summer beyond a few chaste pecks on the lips. I just need you to put in an appearance so they see you really exist. That's it. Is that really so much to ask? She grinned. Scott, I'm sorry. I wish I could. He glowered and the mattress bounced beneath him as he stood. Isn't that what a relationship is supposed to be about? I'm here for you. I'm sitting here sweating my ass off in the slow cooker of a bedroom, and you're supposed to be there for me too, right? Or is that not how this works? Scott, wait, she called after him. Don't be like that. I'm trying. I'm making progress. Dr. Reagan says, whatever, Tessa. He waved a hand to silence her. Forget it. Forget the whole thing. Scott, I'll see you later. I need to get some air. He headed for the door. She lurched after him, but she stumbled. Her foot had fallen asleep from the hours of inactivity. You're coming back, right? Of course I'm coming back. I always come back. Wait. She reached out in his direction, hopping awkwardly. Come here. Can I have a hug at least? Instead, he pulled out his phone to check his messages as he paused on the threshold. Tessa felt a twinge of irritation mingled with relief. She knew he was ignoring her, but she might just prefer his neglect to the usual drawn-out fight. Later, he mumbled over his shoulder, typing a new text as he went. I'll see you later. I gotta go. I'm telling you right now, that fucking Scott dude is cheating on Tessa because he can't stand a chick who has a disorder and she won't leave the house. And I guarantee you he knew she was going to say no to being his date for this Kappa Sigma thing, this fraternity that he's pushing. I guarantee you. Oh, oh God. What? Thanks. Sorry, I have so many birthday things coming in and then some bullshit things coming in asking how I'm doing. I'm just gonna ignore it. Okay, you guys ready? Chapter 5. Eric sat down his phone next to the black marble sink and stood to towel off his hair. He could feel the tension gathered at the base of his skull as he thought through the jam-packed day that lay before him. First his workout, and some publicist had the bright idea to schedule him for a radio call-in while he finished up on the treadmill, just to add to the fun. Then he had to rush off to hair and makeup so he could spend the afternoon on location at a poultry farm, shooting an ad for chicken nuggets. Never mind that he was a strict vegetarian, and never mind that he was supposed to be a musician. His reps at the record label seemed perfectly content to set those facts aside. The day that stretched before him wouldn't involve a single finger on a guitar string. His phone buzzed on the countertop with a new incoming text. Mari, you're late, cowboy. Where are you? Eric closed his eyes. He couldn't face it. He'd give anything to escape the nonstop grind that his life had become. Just for a day. Or not even a day. Just a few measly hours when he didn't have to work. Picked up the phone and wrote back. New song idea, Christmas song. You'll love it. I just need an hour to work it out. He paused, holding his breath as he waited for his manager's reply. Come on, Maury, he whispered to the phone. 1 hour. Come on. The phone buzzed again. You got 30 minutes. Eric pumped his fist. Half an hour of freedom. He'd take it. Now the only question was how to use it. Songwriting could wait. Should he crawl back under the covers and grab a few more minutes of sleep? His phone lit up again, and Eric glanced anxiously at the screen. Not another text message, thank God. Just more Twitter notifications rolling in. He wondered if the #EricThorneObsessed thing hit #1 yet, and picked the phone back up to check. Yep, there it was. He made a low growl in the back of his throat when he saw his name at the top of the trending list. Forget sleep. He needed to take action. He had half an hour to stop this thing in its tracks. Should he send another tweet? It couldn't be anything too hateful. The goal wasn't to make the fans angry. The goal was to turn them off. Make them all lose interest and find another victim for their drooly ton emojis. He needed #EricThorneObsessed to generate some backlash. That was the key. He's seen it happen to others in the past. Guys who blew up too big, too fast. Invariably, they all ended up labeled the same way. Vain, arrogant, narcissistic, self-absorbed. He's seen guys swing overnight from international sex symbol to universal joke. Then the girls would unfollow in droves. No one wants to retweet a walking punchline. Honestly, it might be the best thing that could happen to him. Record sales would fall. Maybe his label would drop him. Eric felt a ray of hope. He could take a more subtle tack. Lay on the self-infatuation a touch too thick and let them all have a good long laugh at his expense. Hell, maybe he didn't even need to do that much. The backlash might be brewing right that second for all he knew. Maybe the haters were already out there, tweeting by the thousands about what a douche he really was. He brought up the search bar and typed in a new hashtag. #Eric Thorne is a douche. 0 tweets. Okay, too complicated. Try again. #Eric Thorne douche. 0 tweets. Damn it! How could it be this hard? Eric took a deep breath and closed his eyes. Okay, think. Think like a hater. #Eric Thorne sucks. 24 tweets. There we go. A smile lit his face for the first time since he'd gotten out of bed that morning. 24 tweets. Not much compared to the millions under #EricThorneObsessed, but it was a start. He ran his eyes down the list. @Eric Thorne, you are ugly and have no talent. #Eric Thorne sucks. Okay, then. Not the most compelling argument. Next. Does anyone actually listen to Eric Thorne's music? No? That's what I thought. #Eric Thorne sucks. Ouch, that one hit a little close to home. It wasn't true, of course. Eric knew he had musical talent. He never would have gotten this far on looks alone. He pumped out one hit after another on his first two albums, and he knew those songs were good. They deserved to play on the radio. But lately he begun to wonder, did it even matter? Would anyone notice if he put out a bunch of half-ass suckitude ghost-written by other songwriters? Or would he hit the Billboard Hot 100 with any piece of overproduced crap just as long as he took off his clothes for the music video? Eric shot his phone a dirty look. It didn't matter anyway, he told himself. Not if his career was over. Back to the task at hand. Hashtag Eric Thorne sucks. Next tweet. At Eric Thorne. I've heard walrus farts that sound better than your fugly ass. Hashtag Eric Thorne sucks. Eric couldn't help but laugh out loud at that one. Walrus farts? That actually wasn't half bad. Maybe he should use it for his next album title. Or better yet, his greatest hits. What would happen if he hit reply and said so? How many thousands of retweets would it get? It was a tempting thought, but he couldn't do it. The fans might find it amusing, but the record label wouldn't. Anything coming from his Twitter account had to be squeaky clean. Maybe that was the key, come to think of it. Eric froze as a new idea hit him. Of course. How had he never thought of it before? The label would never even know. At Eric Thorne couldn't use Twitter to jettison his own career, but someone else could. He began typing again with renewed energy. Create new account. Full name, Taylor. Username, at Eric Thorne sucks. Password, %5L $RSW. His finger hung in the air, poised above the create account button, but he paused for a moment. Could any of it possibly be traced back to him? He'd used his middle name, Taylor, common enough not to raise any eyebrows. But what about that password? He'd automatically put it in the same series of random characters that he used for his real account. Could that come back to bite him in the ass? Better safe than sorry, he didn't need to worry about cybersecurity anyway. This was one social media account that no one would better bother to hack. He filled out the form again. Taylor, username, at Eric Thorne sucks, password. His eyes slid down the new profile he created. 0 tweets, 0 following, 0 followers. A blank slate. It felt like 300 pounds lifted off his shoulders. He could tweet anything from here. Total freedom. He could tell his fans what he really thought of them in no uncertain terms, and he could lead them all to the conclusion that Eric Thorne wasn't worth their wasted time. He just needed to get their attention first. 0 followers. That needed to change. What could he do to get noticed? He needed to make his debut tweet something good, something even more colorful than walrus farts. Something to illustrate the point that Eric Thorne was a vain, self-absorbed, pretty boy douche canoe, and most importantly, something juicy enough to get retweeted 14 million times. Come on, Eric, he muttered to himself. Think narcissistic. He looked up from his phone and met his own eyes in the bathroom mirror. An idea had sprung to mind, and he turned his head slowly from side to side as he considered how best to pull it off. Could he get away with it? Would it work? Maybe. Just maybe. With a well-practiced motion, he stripped his shirt over his head and switched his phone to selfie mode. Oh man, this was going to be fun. Tessa sat on her bed and contemplated the cover of the spiral-bound notebook in her lap. She should probably open it to a clean page and make her daily entry. God knows she had enough thoughts whirling around her head to fill a page or two. Where to start? She should write about Scott, probably. Tessa grimaced, recalling the way her boyfriend had brought their visit to a halt. How could he be so dense? Even if she were ready to leave the house, he expected her to go to some overcrowded frat party. He wanted to, how had he put it exactly? He wanted to show her off. So not just a party, a room full of strangers watching her. Great idea, Scott. Hey, maybe the week after that she could go recite poetry in her underwear on America's Got Talent. Tessa sniffed. What was wrong with him? She hadn't told him the exact events that triggered her phobias, but he should have gotten the gist. Honestly, he was the one being selfish and unreasonable, not her. That wasn't the way you should treat someone you care about, someone you love. How long had it been since he said the words, I love you? She couldn't even remember. She could only think of someone else who said it just that morning. Follow spree complete. Don't be upset if I missed you. I love each and every one of you more than you could ever know. Tessa shut her journal with a snap. To hell with Scott. Why shouldn't she tweet about Eric Thorne all day long if it made her feel better? She picked up her phone and glanced at the screen to see what she had missed. Her eyes landed on a new Twitter notification, but not from Eric Thorne, not from anyone she knew. Her eyes narrowed as she read the unfamiliar username. Eric at the real Eric T. At Tessa Hearts Eric. Follow back, please. The sight of it made Tessa's mouth go dry. If one of those weird Eric Thorne impersonator accounts that popped up from time to time. At Eric Thorne, at Eric Thorne, at Eric Thorne official. Tessa seemed to be the only one who found them disturbing. Fan accounts pretending to belong to Eric Thorne himself. Some of the more gullible fans actually believed in them. Maybe Eric really has a second account, they'd suggest to one another. Maybe he secretly tweets with all of us all the time. They fangirled up a storm whenever at Eric Thorne retweeted one of them, and Tessa could never quite tell if they were kidding. Eric at the real Eric T was proving to be a real pest. He just tweeted at her 2 more times. Eric at the real Eric T, at Tessa Hearts Eric. Follows for follow? Eric at the real Eric T, at Tessa Hearts Eric. Why don't you follow back? I'm asking you nicely. Why did this account keep hassling her? Could it be someone she knew? It couldn't be Scott spying on her, could it? Or even Dr. Reagan? She told her therapist about her Twitter account this morning, but Dr. Reagan wouldn't. Tessa dismissed the thought with a shake of her head. She had obviously been watching too much Catfish on TV. It was probably the second account of some other Twitter friend, some Eric Thorne fan, that she already followed. She should keep an open mind. She didn't hit follow, but she tweeted in reply, Tessa H at Tessa Hearts Eric. Do I know you? At the real Eric T. Who are you? The answer that came back only unnerved her more. Eric at the real Eric T. At Tessa Hearts Eric. Who do you think, dummy? I'm Eric, and I'm getting really pissed that you won't follow me back. Pissed? The word hit Tessa like a slap. This was no fun. Why did Twitter bring out the worst in some people? This was what she got for trying to open herself up to strangers. No wonder she had an anxiety disorder. Ignore it, Tessa commanded herself, feeling her stomach knot. She pulled in a long, slow breath and held it deep in her lungs, reciting the usual mantra inside her head. Eric 1, Eric 2, Eric 3, Eric Thorne, Eric 5. Better? See? Everything was fine. Tessa navigated to the mute option. She wouldn't let one creepo cyberbully chase her off Twitter. If this account ever tweeted at her again, she wouldn't have to see a single trace of it. Tessa's fingers shook slightly as she input one last tweet. Tessa H at Tessa Hearts Eric. At the real Eric T. I don't appreciate your tone. Go bother someone else, please. Bye. With that, Tessa tossed the phone onto her bedspread. So much for social interaction. She didn't feel like journaling about it either. Right now, she needed something mindless to distract herself from the nervous tension bubbling around in her chest. Her eyes wandered to the small TV she kept on top of her dresser. Maybe some morning talk shows would do the trick. She reclined against the pillows and reached for the remote control as another notification lit up her cell phone screen. At Eric Love 333, at Thorn Addict 98, and 173 others just retweeted a photo. Tessa sat up straight again. 175 retweets? That must be something new. Normally only a tweet from Eric himself would spread so quickly among the users she followed, but it couldn't have come from him. She had her account set up to notify her instantly every time he tweeted. What then? She swiped her thumb eagerly. Not another message from Eric, but from his biggest fan, Miss Eric Thorne. Of course it would be at Miss Eric Thorne, or Met, as everyone in the fandom referred to her. The girl never slept and somehow discovered every Eric Thorne-related tidbit 5 minutes before the rest of the pack. She'd started following Eric back in his lowly YouTube days, and she'd maintained her status as queen bee of the fandom ever since. These days, her follower count stood just north of 500K. No one knew much about her, not even her real first name. But that didn't stop the whispered rumors from spreading among the other fan accounts. She must have gotten inside information from somewhere. Maybe even from Eric himself. He'd followed her for a while now, and sometimes hinted at a secret massage message exchange, although she always added a wink emoji for punctuation. Tessa didn't know what to believe. It would certainly explain how the girl knew so much. She'd been tweeting up a storm just last night about trying to meet Eric at his hotel. Had she succeeded? Tweeted a selfie of herself and her Twitter husband arm in arm? Tessa let out a startled gasp as her eyes skimmed across the tweet. Met at Miss Eric Thorne. Why is this so hot? Hashtag Eric Thorne obsessed. And then that picture. Tessa knew she'd never seen it before. She wouldn't have forgotten an image like that. She hit retweet as a matter of course and then switched to her timeline to read what all the other fans had to say. Everyone was online right now and buzzing, and no wonder. First the follow spree, then the second tweet, and now this picture surfacing out of the blue like a gift from above. But where had it come from? Everyone seemed too busy making new hashtag Eric Thorne obsessed tweets to ask any questions. Tessa flicked onto Met's account again, her lips curving with satisfaction at the header. Met at Miss Eric Thorne follows you. She still felt a glow of pride at the sight. 5 days had passed since Met had followed her, and Tessa's own follower count had skyrocketed as a result. Everyone knew that Met only followed the accounts that really mattered. But a follow from at Miss Eric Thorne meant more than just a vote of confidence. It also gave Tessa access to the coveted little button beside Met's name, the one that allowed her to send a private direct message. Tessa entered a DM now, and she let out a small sigh of pleasure when a reply popped back within seconds. Tessa H. Where did that pic come from? Met. Some new kid tweeted it earlier. This one's going viral. Whoop! Tessa's forehead furrowed. Why hadn't Met retweeted it if it came from another fan's account? She sent back a quick reply. Who? Can you tell me? Just an egg making trouble. Nice try, troll. LOL. What username? At Eric Thorne sucks. An egg? Tessa searched for the account and brought it up on her screen. An egg account, as the other girl said, with the anonymous eggshell silhouette that Twitter provided as the default profile picture. Whoever owned this account hadn't bothered with a bio either, just the first name Taylor and that one lonely tweet. Taylor at Eric Thorne sucks. What a narcissistic pretty boy douche. Douche nozzle. Get over yourself. At Eric Thorne. Hashtag Eric Thorne sucks. Pick twitter.com. The link brought up the picture once again. Met must have poached it and composed her own tweet with an ever so slightly revised caption. Tessa saved the photo to her camera roll, ignoring the other 1,000 pictures of Eric Thorne she'd already accumulated. There was something extra drool-worthy about this one. She wanted it preserved. A fresh blush of heat crept up her neck as her eyes drank in the image. Eric Thorne, shirtless, with a white towel around his waist, making out with his own reflection in a steamed-up bathroom mirror. Ooh. Shit, it's getting spicy. Chapter 6. Unreal. Eric silently mouthed the lyrics of the chicken nugget jingle with his team of stylists, sculpted his unruly hair into some semblance of order. He sat perched on a high stool in front of the same hotel mirror that he'd used for his early morning selfie shoot. The scene of the crime, he thought to himself, lightly drumming his palms against his thighs. Was no use. He couldn't focus. His mind kept turning back to the same topic. How far had that photo traveled in the hours since he posted it? How many memes had it spawned, calling him out for his self-absorption? Did it break the internet, like that famous picture of Kim K's ginormous naked ass? He'd hit tweet without a moment to spare this morning, barely throwing on some gym clothes before Mari came knocking again. Now, with his workout behind him, Eric longed to check the retweet account, but he didn't dare, not with the prying eyes of the hairdressers all around him. Oh, God. Oh, shit. Glasses. Sorry. Hold on. We'll get back to it in a second. I don't know where anything just went. Alright, whatever. Wait. No, that's not it. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where anything just went. I'm just reading this to you guys. Sorry. We don't have that much more time before this dies anyway, so let's get into it. Eric felt a cold trickle work its way down the back of his neck. Doubt or stray hair gel, he wasn't quite sure. He couldn't remember the last time he'd done something so impulsive. Was it all a huge mistake? If anyone at his label figured out where that picture came from? A harsh voice rang out behind him, and Eric's hand stopped drumming in midair at the sight of his manager's cell phone thrust into his face. You want to tell me what the hell this is, kid? Eric expected to see the bathroom mirror, but apparently that photo hadn't yet registered as a blip on the PR radar screen. His eyes fell instead on a Hollywood Life blog post. He'd forgotten about that one. It was a pap photo from LA a couple weeks ago. The cameraman must have taken his sweet time selling it to the highest bidder. That dickwad was asking for it, Eric muttered. Mari glared. What did he do? Did he get up in your face? No, he didn't get in my face, Mari. He trailed me for 3 hours straight. So you had a pap following you? That's it? Or paparazzi. A hairdresser placed her finger at the base of Eric's jaw. He swatted her hand away in annoyance. It was my first day off in a month. It's kind of hard to relax when some prick has a telephoto lens pointed at your face all day long. Eric scowled to himself even as he said the words. He knew Mari had a point. He'd lost his cool with that photographer for no good reason. He'd been more than a little on edge after the story broke about the Cromwell murder, especially out in public. He couldn't deny feeling stalked. Mari called it paranoia, but how could Eric help it? He was followed everywhere he went. When he somehow managed to escape the fans for a few blissful moments, then the pap started sniffing around. It never stopped. From the moment he first signed his record deal at age 15, his entire life had been punctuated by the faint sound of camera shutters clicking in the background. Mari clapped a heavy hand on Eric's shoulder. His face was grim. Eric, you can't go around flipping off reporters. Reporters? That asshole was stalking me, Mari. You will get a reputation for bad behavior. These guys can destroy a career faster than you can say cheese if you get on their bad side. Eric opened his mouth to retort, but he forgot what he was about to say. His ears had perked up at that last remark. Wait a minute. Do you think it'll cause a backlash? Mari gave him a playful cuff on the cheek. Nah, the publicists are spinning it that you were provoked, but you only get one get out of jail free card before I was provoked. We have 15 minutes left. Eric stood abruptly from the stool. The makeup people could finish him up on set later. He couldn't take another minute with all those hands pawing at his face. Mari whirled a finger in the air, signaling the army of stylists to gather their supplies. They trooped out, and Eric stood to follow them, but Mari stepped into his path. I don't think we're going to make it through this in 15 minutes, guys. This is a lot. We might. 14 minutes. Shit. Get yourself together, kid. Mari poked him in the chest. I don't know what's eating you lately, but enough's enough. We've got too much work to do. Mari cast him one last warning look and shuffled out. Eric watched him go, but his foul mood faded after a moment. He was finally alone, and he had more pressing matters to attend. Eric pulled his phone from his pocket and tapped to open Twitter, still set to the new username, at Eric Thorne Sucks. He held his breath as his eyes flicked down to check his notifications. The count normally stood at the maximum 20 plus, but on this account, nothing. Dead silence. Really? Not one single retweet? Eric rested his weight against the bathroom countertop. Was it possible that no one had seen the picture yet? Maybe he should try directing it at some of the fan accounts. He closed his eyes, straining to dredge up some likely usernames. They all ran together in his head. At Eric Thorne Fan, at Eric Thorne Love, at Miss Eric Thorne, at Eric Thornified, at Eric Horny, at Eric Thorne Porn. Where to begin? There was that one Mari wanted him to follow, the one who started the whole obsessed trend. He'd intentionally passed her over during the follow spree, but she might be the ideal person for his purposes. He entered in her username at Tessa Hearts Eric and nearly choked at what he saw. There it was at the top of her recent tweets, a retweet, but not from his account. Somehow he'd retweeted the same picture from a different fan. Met at Miss Eric Thorne. Why is this so hot? Hashtag Eric Thorne obsessed. 751 retweets, 1,327 likes. What the hell? How could they fangirl over that picture? He must have snapped 20 versions before he got the pose just right. He'd caught himself at an angle to keep the reflection of the phone out of the frame. He'd pressed his lips to the mirror and closed his eyes in mock passion, with his free hand clutching one of his well-defined pecs. Honestly, it was perfect, the ultimate caricature of vanity and self-absorption. How could they have possibly missed that point? Unreal, he muttered hoarsely, balling his hands into fists. He should have known. He'd seen their smutty fanfics. His fans were nothing if not predictable. They had one thing and one thing only on their hashtag Eric Thorne obsessed minds. Eric's vision clouded with a surge of red-hot anger. Sick, every one of them. Someone needed to call them out, make them feel ashamed of themselves, tell them to get a life. This at Tessa Hearts Eric seemed like a good place to start. He raised his finger above the screen, already composing a blistering rant inside his head, but his finger came down on nothing. Blank, white space. Where was the DM button? He stared at the screen for a full 30 seconds before comprehension dawned. He'd forgotten who he was for a minute there. It had been years since someone he wanted to message didn't follow him as a matter of course. But that only applied to his real account. Now he was at Eric Thorne Sucks, with no history and 0 followers. He was nobody. He couldn't DM a soul. He glared down at the profile in front of him. Tessa H at Tessa Hearts Eric, following 170 followers, 30.1k. He could try to put her on blast over public tweets, but she might not even hear him, not with 30,000 followers. No, if he really wanted to get through to her, he needed to do it over GM, and that meant he needed her to follow him. This was going to be trickier than he thought. Tessa tore her eyes reluctantly from her new favorite Eric Thorne picture. It had given her the perfect idea for a fanfic, a riff on Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, featuring a sensitive young songwriter named Eric and his bad boy rockstar doppelganger, Thorne. Identical twins, she pondered, tapping her chin, or maybe one character with a split personality disorder. Tessa reached for her journal to jot it down. At least not all her story ideas were projecting. But the sight of her phone distracted her. It still displayed the account that had first tweeted the photo. Taylor at Eric Thorne Sucks. Tessa pointed at the empty profile. Whoever this Taylor girl was, she clearly intended for that image to hurt Eric, not a fan. Someone with an axe to grind, maybe a fan he passed over in the follow spree that morning. Apparently, Tessa wasn't the only one whose curiosity had been piqued. Another new DM popped up from it, Miss Eric Thorne. Do you know a Taylor? Is there a fan I don't know called Taylor? Tessa racked her mind, wishing she could come up with a bit of useful gossip to impress the other girl. Don't know her. There was some other weird account tweeting me this morning at the real Eric T. That wasn't you, was it? Why would you think that? Never mind. Hey, maybe this at Eric Thorne Sucks isn't even a fan. Maybe it's one of his exes or something. Tessa's eyes widened as she thought of the possibilities. Eric hadn't been in a confirmed relationship for as long as she had followed him. Whenever interviewers asked about his love life, he always insisted he was way too busy to date, but that didn't stop the rumors from flying. Anyone that gorgeous had to be getting action somewhere. Could it be someone famous? Someone named Taylor? So, this is great and all. Tessa H. OMG, do you think it could be Taylor Swift? Haha, no way. Are you for real? You never know. Elmo. Kinda doubt T-Swizzle has the Photoshop chops. You think it's Photoshop? Obviously. No way that's real. Fakety fake fake. Still sexy as hell, though. Tessa chuckled as she stood up from her bed and paced the room. She was about to reply to Miss Eric Thorne again when a new notification distracted her. Taylor at Eric Thorne Sucks favorited your retweet. Speak of the devil, why was this Taylor person stalking her account? A new mention appeared on her screen, and Tessa sank down heavily into her beanbag chair. Not again, she whispered. Why was she suddenly the target for every creepy fan account on Twitter? Taylor at Eric Thorne sucks. How can you obsess over that pic? At Tessa Hearts Eric. He is literally in love with himself. Tessa eyed the tweet suspiciously. She knew she should ignore it. This Taylor could be anyone. Tessa flicked on the account settings menu, and her finger hovered over the first option once again. Mute at Eric Thorne sucks. She was about to select it, but something stopped her. She could almost hear Dr. Reagan's words from this morning, echoing inside her head. Any kind of social interaction could potentially hold therapeutic value. So I'm going to stop it right there because I got 7 minutes and I am not going to make it in through these next 3 pages in 7 minutes. It's a lot of, well, you guys can see it if you're following along. If you're not following along, it is a lot of back and forth messages and things like that. And you have to do like the @ sign and things like, and everything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and stop it. We are literally 3 pages away from the interrogation fragment part 2. And then we're going to be on chapter 7. So we got through a couple chapters, which is really great. We started at chapter 4. We're on chapter 7, basically, I guess you could say now. If you guys want to read ahead, go ahead. I'm actually going to be reading this on my trip tomorrow. So I'm going to say halfway through the book. So when you get to page 169, go ahead and stop, and we will pick up on page 169. Again, that is 169, and on page 169, it's the interrogation fragment 5. Okay? Hope to see you guys in the next reading. Thank you for being patient. I hope you enjoyed this. You have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know down in the comments in general so they come directly to me. And guys, it's my birthday. I'll see you guys later. Bye!